Today's second video for you is first news stories from South Sudan. US has withheld financial assistance for South Sudan's government. US State Department has released a statement. The country is faced with economic, political crises and no signs of any immediate improvement are being observed. Second news from Eritrea, viewers. Stephen Walker is US shocked affairs in Eritrea, in charge of US embassy in Eritrea, and we know that he has been very vocal against lack of freedom, political freedom in Eritrea. He has been criticizing the Eritrean government for not implementing democratic and political reforms in the country. He's been speaking for release of political prisoners too. Now he is going to quit, if it's the right word. He says that he has completed his assignment. A third news story from Tigray, viewers. Today, Ethiopian Education Ministry allocated 3.4 billion Ethiopian birrs for some universities in Tigray. A few days ago, we know that Ethiopian federal government allocated 12 billion Ethiopian birrs for Tigray. And lastly, very important news story, viewers. While Tigrayans are celebrating at a festival in Maryland, US, week-long festival to commemorate the sacrifices of the people of Tigray, to raise funds for the people of Tigray. A new civil society movement is being launched. On the sidelines of this festival, week-long festival underway in Maryland, a new civil society movement is kicking off. Though it's not new for me because 5 months ago we saw the announcement of the start of a similar civil society movement for independence of Tigray. So once again a new movement is being launched. What is the agenda of this movement? Who are the members of this movement, and why is there need for a new movement for independence of Tigray? Because Tigray opposition parties are already calling for independence of Tigray, for secession from Ethiopia. So why is there need for a new civil society movement in Tigray? Firstly, was first news stories from South Sudan, which gained independence in 2011, but after the independence the country could not hold general elections. Civil war broke out between factions led by Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. In 2018, a peace agreement was signed. It was decided that in 2023 election will be held, and before 2023 legislation will be passed. A unified military will be established, and both Salva Kiir and Riek Machar, they formed a coalition. Salva Kiir is president, Riek Machar is vice president, but no considerable progress has been made towards holding of general election. That is why US State Department a few hours ago announced that US is suspending its assistance for the peace process monitoring mechanism, which was announced in 2018. So US is not going to give any financial assistance to South Sudan's government now. US says that no unified military has been established so far. there are factions, armed factions led by Salva Kiir and Riek Machar and other warlords, you can say. No legislation has been passed for next election, and revenue from oil sale is being diverted for other activities, not development, not peace process related activities, and there is a lack of political will. So US is stepping back, viewers. US has decided that Salva Kiir, Riek Machar coalition is not working. The country is not being steered towards next election. So at a crucial time when South Sudan's economy is under serious pressure, its currency lost around 25% of its value in around 10 days. At this crucial time, US is withdrawing its financial support for South Sudan. South Sudan's people are faced with a dire economic crisis, and they've been seen crossing into Ethiopia, Gambela. I reported in previous videos yesterday and day before yesterday that people from South Sudan are crossing into Gambela. Economic crisis in South Sudan is worsening. US is stepping back, and other regional players are not in a position to support South Sudan. Ethiopian economy in shambles. In Sudan, there is a political, economic crisis. Kenya is stable. Somalia is in need of financial aid for its budget. So you see that no country in the region is in a position to support South Sudan. US is stepping back. What will happen? Let's see what happens. But it seems that we are going to see economic and political crisis in South Sudan if international partners withhold their support for South Sudan. Second news story is from Eritrea, viewers. Stephen Walker is US shocked the affairs in Eritrea, in charge of US Embassy in Asmara. And for the last 2.5 years, he has been working as US shocked affairs in Asmara. He was very vocal against Eritrean government. Perhaps the only man in Eritrea who spoke freely against Eritrean government was Stephen Walker. He's been criticizing Eritrean government for lack of democratic and political reforms. He's been speaking out against imprisonment of journalists, politicians, activists in prison for around 2 decades. And he and Eritrean Information Ministry exchanged several heated remarks in some verbal engagements, and he was tolerated by Eritrean government. I mean, he could have been declared persona non grata, but Eritrean government did not declare him persona non grata. Even a few days ago, he attended a program organized by an Eritrean opposition group based in diaspora. Erisat organized a program, a week-long program, I think, and there he delivered a speech. So Eritrean government did not expel him. Now he has completed his assignment. He is leaving Asmara. Stephen Walker a few hours ago shared a message. He says, I have completed my assignment. So today, 16th of July, is his last day of work in Eritrea. Next shocked affair or next ambassador will be appointed in coming days. In his last message, once again, he criticized Eritrean government. What did he say? Firstly, he said that people of Eritrea are suffering. No matter which false narratives are being launched, but actually people of Eritrea are suffering. Secondly, He went on to say that people of Eritrea have no option left but to flee the country. And thirdly, he urged Eritrean government to implement democratic and political reforms. So his last message is a message for Eritrean people. He did not thank Eritrean government. He thanked Eritrean people that he learned from them, that he will remember the way people loved him. So he's going to leave yours, and new Shogdi affair will be appointed. Question is, who will be the next Shogdi affairs or ambassador? And will he be as vocal as Stephen Walker was? Let's see. But we'll have to acknowledge that Eritrean government tolerated him. Eritrean government did not declare him persona non grata. Thirdly, we have the new story from Tigray. Ethiopian Federal Education Ministry has allocated 3.4 billion Ethiopian birrs for 4 universities in Tigray. We know that's in the start of Tigray conflict. Teaching programs in Tigray have been suspended. 4 universities were being administered by Federal Education Ministry of Ethiopia: Mekelle, Aksom, Raya and Adegrat. But due to non-availability of funds, we know that several teaching programs were suspended. Now, Ethiopian federal government has allocated 3.4 billion birrs for these 4 universities. A few days ago, Ethiopian House approved 12 billion birr budget for Tigray. This 3.4 billion for 4 universities is not part of 12 billion. So 12 billion and 3.4 billion have been allocated for Tigray in recent days. So far, only funds have been allocated, no disbursement so far. Tigray has not received any money from federal government so far. Only allocations are being announced, and it could be a way of making Tigray agree to Ethiopian government's terms about talks, that this money is being offered by federal government, but money has not been disbursed so far. Money will be disbursed after the start of talks, if talks started. So far, no start of talks. We know that budget was a disputed issue between Tigray region and Ethiopian federal government before the start of Tigray war in November 2020. In August 2020, Tigray held regional election. Debretsion was elected regional president. Immediately after that, Ethiopian House of Federation suspended budget, financial support from Federation for Tigray. So budget was suspended, and immediately after that, a month after that, war broke out. So once again, Ethiopian federal government is making announcements of allocations. So far, Tigray has not received any birr from federal government. Lastly, while Tigrayans are celebrating and commemorating the sacrifices of the people of Tigray in the US at a festival, a new civil society movement has been launched in Maryland, USA. Week-long Tigray festival is underway. Song, dance, fundraising, and activities to raise awareness about the sacrifice of the people of Tigray are part of this program. We have some videos as well for you. On the sidelines of this festival, a new movement has been launched, civil society movement. Name of this movement is STIL, Solidarity of Tigrayans for Independence and Liberty. It's a civil society movement, not a political party. So all political activists can be part of this movement. Whether they are from TPLF or Salsivuyene or TIP, they can be members of this forum, this civil society movement. One point agenda, that Tigray should be an independent country. Tigray should secede from Ethiopia. Major General Tigray Birhan, former head of INSA, Ethiopian Cybersecurity Agency, delivered a speech at the opening ceremony of this festival. Virtual speech. He addressed Tigrayan diaspora virtually, and he talked about this STIL. 5 months ago, I did a video, remember. Back then, Major General Tigray Birhan and two opposition parties of Tigray announced the formation of a similar forum with one point agenda, Tigray independence. Now once again we are seeing the same announcement. This time Tigray diaspora is also part of this announcement. Tigray diaspora, I have been saying in previous videos, is in support of independence of Tigray. There could be support for independence in Tigray as well. Tigray opposition parties are also in support of independence of Tigray. Opposition parties like Salsivuyene, Beton, etc. Only TPLF is hesitant. Ruling party is playing its cards close to its chest. It is not in a position to declare independence now. That's my assessment, that if Tigray Population Fund, Tigray government announce independence or holding of a referendum for independence in coming days, it would create problems for TPLF. TPLF, the Tigray government will lose international sympathy. So that is why Tigray government is not in a position to work rapidly towards independence, and this point is being exploited by opposition parties. Diaspora is on board with opposition parties. New forum established. What will this new forum do? I am unable to understand. Why? Because in Tigray, no political activity will be allowed. A new emergency proclamation was released, was issued a few days ago. Even opposition parties, political parties are not being allowed to work freely. So how can this independence forum be allowed to work freely? But this forum can be used by Tigray government in talks with Ethiopian government. TPLF, the Tigray government can take this position in the talks with Ethiopian federal government, that there are rising voices for secession in Tigray, but TPLF is trying its best that Tigray should remain part of Ethiopia. So this forum could be used as a pressure group by Tigray government against Ethiopian federal government. Otherwise, in Tigray, the group will not be allowed to work freely. But yes, this group can play its part in gaining the support of Tigrayan diaspora, which has played a key role in highlighting this crisis on international level, in backing Tigray government. Even now, Tigray government, Tigray people are being financially supported by these diaspora community members. So this forum can put pressure upon TPL or Tigray government by gaining the support of Tigrayan diaspora community in US, in other countries of the world. Thanks for watching.